Julie Banderas with us right now. Julie, it's amazing. We don't have rich law backgrounds between us, but to tell a guy who's running for the president and leading, you're not talking about Asa Hutchinson.
Right.
This guy's leading. To not talk to 80, there are so many people in his life that he was told not to talk about the case with. And now they're saying don't talk about this publicly, but you can watch CNN, MSNBC, talk about your case publicly. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You can't have an indictment, presumption of innocence, and then have these limits on the person.
I heard you yesterday morning talking about this on Fox and Friends, and we're not just talking about any person here. We're talking about Donald Trump, and this has been his whole entire platform since before he was elected president. He is a social media giant, and that is how he communicates to his followers and his fans and his supporters. So that's his only way of communicating with them. And if he wants to communicate his innocence or whatever the heck he wants, that's your freedom of speech.
So what's so interesting is the president says he was responding to Joe Biden's tweet that he put out there that said a cup of Joe never tasted better. And he held up a mug that said Dark Brandon.
Dark Brandon.
And he said, you come after me, I'll come after you. Then Jack Smith says, I feel threatened. I want to limit what he gets. I want to limit what he says. Listen, you're in trouble there. You're going to be in trouble in Florida with that judge. And the other judge is going to have a hard time siding with Jack Smith because the president will, 77 years old, running for president, he'll violate that on a daily basis. Are you going to arrest the front runner for president of the United States and not divide the country and rip it apart? You're going to put him in handcuffs because he said something provocative?
It's another double standard. I mean, because so the president, obviously, of the United States that's currently in our White House can't be muted. And so he can say whatever he wants. But that means that his contender, the person he'll be running against for president, can't rebut. I mean, that's the whole point of these campaigns. He's got to be able to rebut, or otherwise he's going to have to sit silent and let his contender basically run all over him. That's not the way elections work.
So we see Judge Eileen Cannon of the Southern District of Florida wants to know from Jack Smith, why do you have a grand jury in D.C. And one in Florida? What is the point of that?
Right.
Why do you still have it done? You've already got your indictment. Why do you still need your grand jury? Yeah. What kind of answer does he have? I can't wait to see that answer. But, of course, it'll be marginalized because Trump appointed Cannon, the other woman, off the charts, an Obama donor, worked at the same firm as Hunter Biden, and who goes after January 6 people.
Yeah. No, this is, first of all,
the Punisher.
Trump's attorney, who was on your show yesterday morning. Did you notice I actually listened to your show, in its entirety?
I'm really astounded. Did you know you were coming on? Or I
didn't even know you were on Fox and Friends until yesterday morning.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good show.
They took cable out of your house? Was that a court order?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I've been buried under a rock. No, I listened, and I thought it was interesting that she talked about, the Trump attorneys are saying there's no way he's going to get a fair trial in D.C. They want to move it, possibly, right? The indictments were in D.C., but, I mean, when you talk about political bias with these judges, okay, they want the judge to recuse themselves. Well, the only way for a judge to recuse themselves is by that judge's decision. Nobody else can decide for a judge if they're going to recuse themselves. If a judge is politically motivated, why in the world would a judge ever recuse themselves? Something's wrong with the system. There needs to be oversight over these judges. I believe that these judges have way too much power, especially when it comes down to politics. Lawyers and judges should obviously be able to play down the middle, but I know it's impossible. We all know it's impossible.
So how about this? Evan Corcoran, who was forced to testify against Trump as his lawyer, is still on his legal team. So he gave notes to the prosecutors and a roadmap, they say, to indict Trump. That's what led to the indictment, they say, more than anything else. He remains on Trump's legal team. Is he supposed to not talk about the case with Evan Corcoran? Of course he's going to talk about the case.
Yeah.
With Jason Miller as key advisor, Boris Epstein, who's been there every step of the way. I don't care what you think of the case. I have no interest who you're going to vote for. Don't tell me that please don't tell me that you've thought this through.
Right.
And they clearly haven't. Now in comes Georgia, that case. You know the president's going to be speaking about that in Georgia multiple times.
And that most likely, that fourth indictment is pretty much guaranteed to be coming down in the next 2 weeks.
They set up the barricades around the courthouse already.
They're ready for it, right? And obviously this is because, another politician wants their 15 minutes of fame, and obviously they're going to get all this attention. But it's just a double standard, once again, because you cannot tell somebody like President Trump that he can't speak. Right. I mean, he has every right to speak up for himself. And as far as Democrats, I just want to get to the cameras in the courtroom thing, because this thing just burns me up so badly. They don't want the president to speak on behalf of themselves, but they want to bring cameras into a federal courthouse. That never happens. Why? Because they want to deter. They want to distract from the White House. They want to distract from Biden and his
good point.
Ugly
Good point.
administration.
And the fact that he doesn't want to campaign.
Talking out of two sides of their mouth. It is such a distraction.
And the one thing that will happen, so let's say you think Trump is 100% innocent. The one goal that Democrats will achieve if these trials take place before the election, it'll be like a mini pandemic pass for Joe Biden. Hey, I'm running the country, man. I'm not going to go out there and campaign. There's no guy doing 45,000-seat arenas, getting great momentum in all the battleground states because he's stuck in court trying to defend himself, which would allow the president to say, I'm busy. It's not even a candidate. I'm busy doing the presidency. But we were talking about all this. Saul Weisenberg, former Whitewater deputy independent counsel, on with Laura last night, talked about what the judge said yesterday in Miami. Cut 4.
She's also said, wait a minute, I want an explanation for why you're using the D.C. grand jury for post-indictment matters in Florida. So there are two things that she's interested in here. Number one, you brought this case in the Southern District of Florida. Why are you using the D.C. grand jury related to that case? Number two, once you indict a case, the law says you're not allowed to use the grand jury, use a grand jury to gather evidence for trial.
But he's doing that. Isn't this crazy?
It's not crazy. That's the sad part. It's not crazy. I mean, are you surprised? Absolutely not. They're going to use everything that they can against him. And so in Washington, D.C., certainly that's not a town that's very, let's say, red. I mean, it's not a town that, and then imagine jurors. Imagine trying to find jurors in D.C. when it comes down to this. That's impossible to find jurors that are going to be impartial.
I mean, you run the case for the appeal because your best hope is on appeal. You basically think you're going to end up with being convicted. But at that time, if you are convicted, are you bound to your home? Or are you put in jail? Yeah. So if Julie Banderas or Brian Kilmeade was tried in Washington, D.C., we'd go to jail until we had our appeal.
Right.
Would they put a 77-year-old presidential candidate in jail if this happens and they get a conviction, which is going to happen with that judge and this jury before? I mean, it's crazy.
Before the election.
Someone told me that it's impossible to do that because you can't have Secret Service in jail and you need Secret Service protection.
That's a good
So it
point.
might be at home. But how do you campaign?
You can't. And that's exactly why they're doing this. I mean, this is one of the reasons why he's got a target on his back. I mean, yeah, he made a lot of mistakes, but there is a lot of political motivation behind this. And it's very disturbing to see when lawyers and judges allow for impartial, opinions to play a role in something so large. Because this isn't just about Donald Trump. This is about the next election.
What show are you doing later?
Oh, I'm doing Faulkner Focus at 11.
Wow.
In roughly
that's in a few
18
minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes.
Yeah, like in
Do you
a
know
couple
who's
minutes.
on?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have to pull up my rundown. But I've got Sean on.
And Hannity?
No. I got to look through my rundown. You're actually
we do have this.
Now.
We have music just for this.
We have plenty for this, right?
I
got Sean Duffy. We're going to be talking about Eric Sheeran, making 36 visits to the vice president's office during his administration. Could be more. But I mean, it's amazing how, and then the letter that President Biden wrote to him, kind of thanking him for, a very friendly dinner that the two of them had. These two were very chummy. You know exactly what was going on between him and his son. He knows exactly what his son was up to.
Right. There's no doubt about it. You can no longer say I know nothing about my son's overseas
36 visits from a business partner of your son.
And then 20 visits with Devin Archer.
Yes.
So listen to this. Andy McCarthy, legal guy. I was shocked to hear him say this.
There's a lot of questions about how often did Joe talk about the business with Hunter? Was he involved in the business with Hunter? That gets the cart before the horse. The business was Joe Biden, access to Joe Biden.
That is the business.
Yes.
There is no other business.
He was selling the brand.
Don't say I know about it,
yes.
but I'm the only one with access.
Right, but the word the brand. Okay,
Right.
What do you mean by the brand? The Biden brand. Obviously, Hunter Biden was using the brand, meaning his father, in order to help push through these business dealings. And his father clearly had to have known what was going on. You don't invite somebody back over 36 times. You don't bring back Devin Archer over 20 times.
Does the Faulkner Focus have music at the end of breaks?
To rap us like this?
Like
no,
this,
they don't.
That's what's happening now.
No, they don't rap us. They're not rude like you guys.
Right. So this is rude?
Yeah.
I think this is a general way of saying, I need you to move towards the door, almost like an usher. I'm just like,
just use a hook.
gradually, little by little, people, it's over.
I don't like subtleties.
You
Use
don't
a
like-
hook next time.
All right, she's gone. Julie Banderas is done.
Bye. See you at 11.